Okay guys, so right here, that's the vacuum pump. So what we did first, we had this thing running, we pulled this line off and we felt for vacuum, we had no vacuum. So that tells you this pump here isn't working. That pump is driven by the camshaft. So how do we go about getting it off there? Well, unfortunately with all these new cars, it isn't right out on top. You can see it, but you can't access it. So we're gonna start by taking this air box out, trying to give us a little bit more room here. Take this off here. But we'll see what we can get into and give you an update on it. I think it'll breathe a little better if we get the leaves out of the air box. Pull the filter out. This is filling the bottom of the air box. So guys, we don't have to probably take off as much as I'm doing, but I'm trying to give myself more room because I'm a big guy and I need to get my arms in there. So I'm going to take this whole air box out, but just so you see, there's a little, this is like a rubber material. The tab, I just pulled that tab off, and then there's another tab right here, or another piece of rubber that pulls off this tab. This will release this pipe. So the next thing we'll do before we get too far ahead of us, we're going to unplug this vacuum line here. Press this tab in. This line will come right off. I gotta set the phone down to do it though, guys. So. And then just tuck it back out of the way. We pushed it up there for now. Be very careful. This is brittle plastic, especially if you're doing this in the cold weather. This stuff will break easy. These tabs don't like the cold very much. I want to get this tube out of here, get this air box out, and then we can get to the part, but as I've already said. Part of the reason we're taking all this stuff out of the way, we don't have to. Look at these hose clamps. Can you guys see where the screwdriver blade end goes in there? No, you can't, because the last guy that worked on this thing, or the factory, buried the screw head so we can't even see it. Same with that one. So when we pull this out, we're going to turn them around so it's easy to access in case we ever have to pull this apart again, or the next guy has to pull it apart. It's easy for him to get out. We'll turn the camera now, guys. Originally going to make a short out of this, but this is a little more lengthy than a short obviously can be. So turn the camera, give you guys a better view. So now we got that air box out of the way. Open this up a little bit, and we're going to get this clamp off here. Put this over here. We'll get the hose clamp off, and we'll just move this and lay it over here for now. So let's get the clamp off and go from there. Okay guys, so here's our vacuum pump. We're getting closer to it. We're going to take a few more things off just to give us plenty of room to work around here. I don't want to fight to get things in and out. So anything that's easy to unplug or move out of the way, let's just take it off and make us room. So we're going to take this tube off. There's one bolt on top. There's another bolt back a little further. And then there's this line, obviously, will get unhooked. Okay guys, so we got this tube off. We got the one bolt here that I showed you. On the back side, they just had a hose clamp. And that was actually lined up so you could get it out, so that wasn't so bad. Okay, and we got this line off here. Careful that this little bottom tab, when you press this on it on the screen, this bottom green piece comes out. Don't lose that. Be careful with it so you don't break it. Again, this is really brittle plastic. Okay guys, so to get this off here, these lines right here are really tight. So we're going to pull this off of here, press the connector, unplug that, get it out of our way. And that gives us a little more room. There's one bolt here, looks like one on the top side, and then one here for sure. So there's three that I see for sure, maybe more. I'm going to take a quick look at it, and then I'll let you guys know. But getting that line out of the way is one. And then let's see if we can move this one out of the way as well. And then I'll see if I can find the right size socket or wrench for this. What do we got here? Okay. So that looks to be an 8mm, guys. Sorry guys, I didn't show you taking this off either. Just take your two fingers, and there's little plastic tabs. You push both sides of this, and this pops right off. And and then just pops right back on with the new one. Again, brittle plastic, be careful, but it'll come off pretty easily. Here's the old vacuum pump, and here's the new one. So, doing this just our cap to protect our connector for now. Got 3 bolts. This one's all full of oil, and I'm going to look at this one and see. Hang on a sec, guys. Usually this little coupler is what breaks, and this goes into your cam gear. So we're going to get this lined up, put this back on, get our 3 bolts in. Be very careful putting your bolts in. It's tight to fit in there, and you drop them, you're going to be hunting for a long time. Hopefully you see that slot in there, guys. That's where your that coupler fits into. So we'll have to clock the coupler so it lines up and then slide it in. Before we do that, we're going to clean out any excess debris or anything that's sitting in here, that dirt or foreign material, and then we'll start putting it in. So besides the pump, all the extra stuff we took off was this easy plastic stuff. Pops in there, or clips in there, and then you have the 2 screws on the one screw on there and the hose clamp. So let's watch me put her back together. This tube slides right back in down to that one. Just like so. I'm going to tighten that clamp down, and then our bolt goes right there. Again, everything was an 8mm on this. Come on, guys. Remember when I said watch this side of this green tab or you'll lose it? I just spent a couple minutes digging for that thing, because I had it hanging by just half it. So be real careful you don't lose that. It helps lock this in once you put it on. Know where the screws are for these clamps. I turned them so when you need to work on it next time, you can get it apart without having to fight. Really, you didn't need many tools for this job. Let's take a look here. Rugged screwdriver, a short one, 1/4-inch ratchet with 2 different size extensions, and an 8mm 8mm socket. That's all I needed for this whole thing. Pretty simple job. But anyway, we'll get back to putting it back together. This airbox, guys, you got a tab there, post here, and it clips in. But anyway, just pushes down in there, and then we're going to get that in there, and then we'll hook our plastic tubes to it. Okay, so put our tubes back in there, got the box pressed in, the tabs. With that tube in there, I just pulled this piece of rubber over the tab here that holds that in place, and this one here flips over. Does the same thing. Hooks on there, that's secured. All right, now this is the only other thing, guys. This here for your mass airflow sensor, and it goes onto this tube, obviously. But there's 2 8mm sockets, 2 bolts. 8mm socket fits them, and this clamp or bolts into our airbox here. So we're going to get that bolted down. Okay, we got the new vacuum pump on. Things back together there. We just took this whole battery box apart. If you saw earlier in the video, we had behind that vacuum pump, there's a little slotted bolt. When that pump goes, that bolt breaks off, and if you're really lucky, you can get the broken bolt out of the end of the cam, put a new one in, change oil right away, make sure everything's good. We were able to get ours out very easily. Was very surprised. Anyway, we took this whole battery box out, just put the battery back in. You can't reach your hands back in there to get the clamp on the battery, so I unhooked the negative from here, slid the battery back in, put the with the cable already on it. Now we're gonna get the rest of the battery box back together, hook up the positive, and then we'll hook up the ground here, so we're not fighting ourselves. One thing I did do that made it easier, the reservoir for the brake. So it'll take that off these two bolts here, or holes here, where that mounts to, and gave us room to get into that battery box a little better. The reason we took all this stuff off is so we could get our drill straight in on an angle where this pump is. So if we had to drill that bolt out, but we didn't need to. We just barely touched it with a reverse drill bit, and it spun right out. So it must not have been bottomed out in the cam, so that was excellent for us. Anyway, we're gonna get the battery hooked up, put all the air box, everything back together, and then we'll fire this thing up. We've already changed the oil and got everything look good there. So let's get this battery hooked up and we'll show you what we got. Okay, so as you can see, we got the screws, turn screws so you can reach them. Pull this wire, pop this vacuum line back on that we had over here that goes to the pump. This vacuum line's on, air box is on, maps, airflow sensors plugged in, air filters back in. These are all cleaned out. Now we're just gonna put the cover back on, and then we're pretty much ready to test it. If it tests out, then we'll put the big engine cover on and make it look all pretty. Okay, everybody, we got this all back together. Air box is in, the battery's buried back in there again. The master cylinder reservoir is hooked back up. The real master cylinder is way back there. You can't even see it. Engine cover's back on. Idling fine. We got vacuum again, and we're good to go there. So we're going to take it for a drive and let you know what we find out. Well, we got her all back together. Things idling here, sitting in the driveway. Brakes work fine now. We have vacuum. Get this thing cleaned up and put it back on the road. Thanks for watching.